I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh. And I eat well, and I grow strong. Tomorrow, I will eat at the table when company comes. And nobody would dare tell me to eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll realize how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I, too, am America. That poem was written in 1925. Ladies, gentlemen, distinguished guests, fellow speakers of inspiration, welcome to the power of transformation. I want to share with you some inspiring stories, so stick with me through these stories as we utilize 3 ordinary processes to help us clear our minds to create healthy habits from negative situations. Now, when I was a child, my mother would come into the room with my 2 younger brothers and read us stories. We used to love it. From time to time, it was 2 hours in between. That's the only moment that we had a chance to actually spend with her. And so she would pull up a chair between the 2 beds and begin to speak. Her first story started off in February 1st of 1901 in Joplin, Missouri, where a young boy experienced a very difficult childhood. Both of his parents had divorced. His father had moved away to escape endemic racism, so he traveled through Cuba, Mexico. Now, his mother also left, but she was in search of sustainable employment, so she left the young boy in the care of their maternal grandmother. You could only imagine the feeling of abandonment and subsequent loneliness that he might have felt. But that young boy found solace in books. He developed a love for reading. He immersed himself in a world of literature. An extraordinary transformation occurred within him. That love for reading evolved into this burning desire to write, to express his thoughts and emotions through written word. You may have guessed it, that young boy was Langston Hughes. Now, Dr. Angela Buttermer, she's studied in biology. She's a licensed psychotherapist. She quotes, "Holding resentment and grudges is similar to drinking poison and expecting for the other person to get sick." You see, Langston Hughes was able to manipulate the first ordinary process of clearing your mind to create those healthy habits that we're talking about today. And that is the power of grace. Now, Langston didn't have all of the answers, but he knew that his parents leaving wasn't because of him. I mean, how could it have been? He was only a child. They don't give you a book on parenting. There isn't this parenting 101 guide that you get. You kind of just gotta figure it out as you go. Now, I'm not saying that young Langston didn't have emotions, just like I don't want you to consider that. I'm simply saying that young Langston let them off the hook for their actions. You see, granting people grace is not for them, but for you. It kind of allows you to move back from a situation to clear your mind. You see, you can't expect for people to provide you what they don't have. Because he stayed in that clear mindset, he went on to become one of the greatest, world-renowned, young African-American poets that we all know and love today. Now, around this time, my mother usually gets tired. She just worked the 9-to-5 shift. I'm like, man, she has to go to sleep. But I'll be honest, me and my brother couldn't let her off the hook. Mom, you can't go to sleep. We need one more story. I know you did your job. We got to go to school in the morning. Just give us one more and we'll go to bed. And a mother's love is different. So what does she do? She sat right on down and she began to read. Now, this story started off of a young boy whose journey began at Cornwall Regional Hospital in Jamaica, where doctors had wrote him off. They told his mother that he wouldn't make it. Now, he defied the odds. Born prematurely weighing less than 3 pounds, he let out a cry in that emergency room that shocked everyone. He was alive. Now, some will call it a miracle, but others would say he was just astounded. This young kid shocked everyone. Wow, right? He feels at his young age, he has understood more about life with his divine defect of being born blind than if he was born without it. You see, he was able to manipulate the second ordinary process that we'll talk about today. And that is the power of understanding. You see, life doesn't owe you understanding, but consider this. with understanding brings peace. Well, who in here has ever been in a relationship, a loving relationship? Out of that relationship, have you ever experienced any type of infidelity, been cheated on? How did it make you feel? I imagine not the best, maybe a little sad or depressed. Well, whenever they go to shoot a movie, they have the main star. If it's an action movie, he goes to the trailer. They allow the stunt double to come out, and they perform the stunt. Now, in the movie, the stunt double jumps from maybe the ceiling onto the ground. Now, he dies in the movie, but in real life, of course, we know he lands on a cushion. Think of that understanding as the cushion. It doesn't take away all the pain, but it kind of lessens the blow of impact. Now, I'm not telling you to expect bad things to happen, but understand that they're possible, as we all are human. Now, some people would think, why me? Why did I get treated like this at my job? Why did my man shit on me? Why did my lady that I loved for years let me go? Why are my kids not acting a certain way? Why was I born blind? Don't get caught up in that. You see, Nigel's journey involved him being blind. He wouldn't have received the fullness of his destiny had that not been the case. You see, understanding is a very intricate process that we all can manipulate if done correctly. Nigel later went on to find, by clearing his mind, that he had a beautiful voice. Allowing that young kid to sing, he had a voice that could make 12 dozen birds fall in love. His voice reigned over Jamaica and the country where hundreds of thousands of kids were inspired by the way he sung. Because he stayed and was able to manipulate that ordinary process of understanding, he went on to become an inspiration. Now, I know what you're thinking. These simply put, what about if I'm not a world-renowned poet or a great singer? What about for those everyday people just like you and I? Well, around this time, my mother would get up and she said, okay, I done gave you 2 stories. That's all I got for you. And she would make her way to the room. And Lord knows we wanted to hold her, but we couldn't. Do your thing. But we had a father. Our father would come in, and sometimes he'll listen on the outside of the bedroom. And he said, hey, son, did your mother read you guys a story? If not, I'll read you one. I looked at my brother. He looked at me. I said, yo, Pops, Mom didn't read us a story. But he knew because he was outside of the room. He said, nah, I know because I was already out. I heard you, but I'm going to let you slide because of your tenacity. So he would come in, and he also would read. And his story began of another young boy. He grew a little older. Now, that young boy grew older and became a young man. As he grew, his mother had experienced breast cancer around the same time that he received the biggest accomplishment of his life. You can only imagine how conflicted that young boy was. If that wasn't already enough, imagine the same community that he went out to serve ridiculed him, lied on him, did everything they could to take down his character. The same community that he went to serve. Now, that young boy could have stayed in those dark rooms, moved into a grave depression, but he turned to self-talk affirmations in his room, became a motivating speaker for himself. Unknowingly, he became a source of inspiration for his friends around him. Today, he stands at a prestigious university talking on an international stage because he explored the transformative power of overcoming adversity to find and create healthy habits from negative situations to find his purpose for speaking and motivating others. If you have guessed it, that young boy is me. Now, we all share commonalities. Everyone I named today was able to transform those negative situations into opportunities for growth, to use that as a catalyst to help them discover their true passion, to create those healthy habits, to optimize their potential, to seize the moment, to embrace those challenges and find their purpose. Well, let's think. Langston's story teaches us about, it reminds us to let people off the hook for their actions, to let go of the things that we can't control, and to connect to the things that you love. Because only when you connect with people do you deserve to influence their decisions. Nigel's story teaches us about the power of understanding. So regardless of the cup being half empty or half full, to understand that eventually it will be all the way emptied and then refilled again. Imagine every challenge, setback, or bad circumstance became an opportunity for growth and development. And My story is just like us all. It's having something bad happen out of nowhere, even though you didn't deserve it. And somehow, some way, you wake up every day, you make your bed as perfectly as a bed can be made. You walk one foot in front of the other. You brush your teeth as perfectly as they can be brushed, knowing that adversity lies ahead. Imagine, my mother was a source of my inspiration. When the doctors had diagnosed her with cancer, she told them that she didn't have cancer. She wasn't gonna allow their science to get in the way of her life. Ladies and gentlemen, my mother stands here today, 1 year later, cancer-free and healthier than ever. Now, I'm not saying this is gonna be easy. That's what this is not about. But remember, it is within discomfort that true transformation lies. Together, we can create a world where every challenge becomes an opportunity for growth and every setback paves the way for healthy and positive change. By utilizing those 3 ordinary processes, you can come out of the situation better than you went in. In the words of Denzel Washington, I'm leaving here with something. Don't allow what happened to you to keep you from the fullness of your destiny. Thank you for letting me be myself.